A co-founder of the social news and entertainment website Reddit has been found dead.
He certainly was a prodigy, although he never kind of thought of himself like that.
He was totally unexcited about starting businesses and making money.
There's a profound sense of loss tonight in Highland Park, Aaron Swartz' hometown, as loved ones say goodbye to one of the internet's brightest lights.
Open access and computer activists are mourning his loss.
An astonishing intellect. You talk to people who knew him. He was killed by the government, and MIT betrayed all of its basic principles.
They wanted to make an example out of him, okay?
Governments have an insatiable desire to control.
He was potentially facing 35 years in prison and a $1 million fine.
Raising questions of prosecutorial zeal and I would say even misconduct. Have you looked into that particular matter and reached any conclusions?
Growing up, I slowly had this process of realizing that all the things around me that people had told me were just the natural way things were, the way things always would be. They weren't natural at all. They were things that could be changed, and they were things that, more importantly, were wrong and should change. And once I realized that, there was really kind of no going back.
Welcome to Story Reading Time. The name of the book is Paddington at the Fair.
Well, he was born in Highland Park and grew up here. Aaron came from a family of 3 brothers, all extraordinarily bright.
So we were all, not the best behaved children and, 3 boys running around all the time, causing trouble.
Hey, no. Aaron, what?
But I've come to the realization Aaron learned how to learn at a very young age.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Knock, knock. Who's there? Aaron. Aaron who? Aaron, funny man.
He knew what he wanted, and he always wanted to do it. He always accomplished what he wanted. His curiosity was endless.
Here's a little picture of what the planets are. And each planet has a symbol. Mercury symbol, Venus symbol, Earth symbol, Mars symbol, Jupiter symbol.
One day he said to Susan, "What's this free family entertainment in downtown Highland Park?"
Free family entertainment downtown Highland Park.
He was 3 at the time, and she said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "Look, it says here on the refrigerator, free family entertainment in downtown Highland Park." And so she was floored and astonished that he could read.
It's called My Family Seder. The Seder night is different from all other nights.
I remember once we were at the University of Chicago Library. I pulled a book off the shelf that was from like 1900 and showed him and said, this is really just an extraordinary place.
We all were curious children, but Aaron really liked learning and really liked teaching.
And they were going to learn the ABCs backwards. Z-Y-X-W-V-U-T.
I remember he came home from his first algebra class, and he was like, "Noah, let me teach you algebra." And I'm like, "What is algebra?" And he was always like that.
Now you press the click button. There, now it's got that. Now it's in pink.
When he was about 2 or 3 years old, and Bob introduced him to computers, and he just took off like crazy on them.
Go fast at 102 ABC.
We all had computers, but Aaron really took to them, really took to the internet.
Looking at the computer?
Mommy, why is nothing working?
He started programming from a really young age. I remember the first program that I wrote with him was in BASIC, and it was a Star Wars trivia game. He sat down with me in the basement where the computer was for hours programming this game. The problem that I kept having with him is there was nothing that I wanted done. And to him, there was always something to do, always something that programming could solve. The way Aaron always saw it is that programming is magic, right? You can accomplish these things that normal humans can't.
Aaron made an ATM using like a Macintosh and like a cardboard box.
One year for Halloween, I didn't know what I wanted to be, and he thought it'd be really, really cool if I dressed up like his new favorite computer, which at the time was the original iMac. I mean, he hated dressing up for Halloween, but he loved convincing other people to dress up as things that he wanted to see.
He made this website called The Info, where people can just fill in information. Like, I'm sure someone out there knows all about gold leafing. Why don't they write about that on this website?
And then other people could come at a later point and read that information and edit the information if they thought it was bad. Not too dissimilar from Wikipedia, right? And this was before Wikipedia had begun, and this was developed by a 12-year-old in his room by himself, running on, this tiny server using ancient technology.
And one of the teachers responds like, "This is a terrible idea. You can't just let anyone author the encyclopedia. The whole reason we have scholars is to write these books for us. How could you ever have such a terrible idea?" Me and my other brother would be like, "Oh, yeah, Wikipedia is cool, but we had that in our house like 5 years ago."
Aaron's website, theinfo.org, wins a school competition hosted by the Cambridge-based web design firm Ars Digita.
We all went to Cambridge for when he won the Ars Digita prize, and we had no clue what Aaron was doing. It was obvious that the prize was really important.
Aaron soon became involved with online programming communities, then in the process of shaping a new tool for the web.
He comes up to me, it's like, "Ben, there's this really awesome thing that I'm working on. You need to hear about it." I'm like, "Yeah, what is it?" He says, "It's this thing called RSS." And he explains to me what RSS is. I'm like, why is that useful, Aaron? Like, is any site using it? Like, why would I want to use it?
There was this mailing list for people who were working on RSS and XML more generally. And there was a person on it named Aaron Swartz who was combative but very smart and who had lots of good ideas. And he didn't ever come to the face-to-face meetings. And they said, when are you going to come out to one of these face-to-face meetings? And he said, I don't think my mom would let me. I'm 14, I just turned 14. And so their first reaction was, well, this person, this colleague we've been working with all year was 13 years old while we were working with him, and he's only 14 now. And their second reaction was, Christ, we really want to meet him. That's extraordinary. He was part of the committee that drafted RSS.
What he was doing was to help build the plumbing for modern hypertext. And the piece that he was working on, RSS, was a tool that you can use to get summaries of things that are going on in other web pages. Most commonly, you would use this for a blog. You might have 10 or 20 people's blogs you want to read. You use their RSS feeds, these summaries of what's going on those other pages, to create a unified list of all the stuff that's going on. Aaron was really young, but he understood the technology and he saw that it was imperfect and looked for ways to help make it better.
So his mom started bundling him on planes in Chicago. We'd pick him up in San Francisco. We'd introduce him to interesting people to argue with, and we'd marvel at his horrific eating habits. He only ate white food, only steamed rice and not fried rice because that wasn't sufficiently white, and white bread and so on. And you kind of marvel at the quality of the debate emerging from this, what appeared to be a small boy's mouth. And you think, this is a kid who's really going to go somewhere if he doesn't die of scurvy.
Aaron, you're up. I think the difference is that now you can't make companies like Doc was saying. You can't have companies that just, let's sell dog food over the internet, let's sell dog food over cell phones. But there's still a lot of innovation going on. I think if you don't see the innovation, maybe your head is in the sand.
He takes on this alpha nerd personality where he's sort of like, I'm smarter than you, and because I'm smarter than you, I'm better than you, and I can tell you what to do. It's an extension of him being kind of like a twerp.
So you aggregate all these computers together and now they're solving big problems like searching for aliens and trying to cure cancer.
First met him on IRC, on Internet Relay Chat. He didn't just write code. He also sort of got people excited about solving problems. He was a connector. The free culture movement has had a lot of his energy. I think Aaron was trying to make the world work. He was trying to fix it.
He had a very kind of strong personality that definitely ruffled feathers at times. It wasn't necessarily the case that he was always comfortable in the world and the world wasn't always comfortable with him.
Aaron got into high school and was really just sick of school. He didn't like it. He didn't like any of the classes that were being taught. He didn't like the teachers. Aaron really knew how to get information. He was like, I don't need to go to this teacher to learn how to do geometry. I can just read the geometry book, and I don't need to go to the teacher to learn their version of American history. I have 3 historical compilations here. I could just read them, and I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the web.
I was very frustrated with school. I thought, the teachers didn't know what they were talking about, and they were very domineering and controlling, and the homework was kind of a sham, and it was just all the way to pin students together and force them to do busy work. And, I started reading books about the history of education and how this educational system was developed, and alternatives to it in ways that people could actually learn things as opposed to just regurgitating facts their teachers told them. And that kind of led me down this path of questioning things. Once I questioned the school I was in, I questioned the society that built the school, I questioned the businesses that the schools were training people for, and I questioned the government that, set up this whole structure.
One of the things he was most passionate about was copyright, especially in those early days.
Copyright has always been something of a burden on the publishing industry and on readers. But it wasn't an excessive burden. It was a reasonable institution to have in place to make sure that people got paid. What Aaron's generation experienced was the collision between this antique copyright system and this amazing new thing we were trying to build, the internet and the web. These things collided, and what we got was chaos.